Hi, welcome back to Coach Wellness. Now we're going to talk about how to monitor exercise during your workouts. So, how do I know I'm working hard enough? It is recommended that the average person gets 150 minutes of exercise per week. That comes out to about 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week. If you are new to exercise, you want to start small. So you can start maybe with 5 minutes at a time and gradually work up to 30 minutes. If you go over the 30-minute mark, that's not a bad thing. That is the average of what is recommended. 30 minutes, 5 days a week, or a total of 150 minutes of exercise per week. Now, a low to moderate intensity level are going to be for those who are just starting out, maybe they're sedentary or a little bit overweight, compared to the high intensity, which is going to be for those people that are a little bit more advanced. This is why I have two ability levels. So the beginners are going to be the people that are new to exercise or sedentary or a little overweight, are going to be the low to moderate intensity levels. And the high intensity exercises are going to be those people that are a little bit more advanced. Now, ways to measure your intensity during cardio. There's three basic methods that you can do this. Target heart rate, rate of perceived exertion, or the talk test. Now, target heart rate. You first need to figure out your max heart rate. The formula to do that for the average person, now this does not mean it's going to be ideal for everybody, 208 minus 0.7 multiply your age. So make sure you do the parentheses first and then 208 minus that number. That will equal your max heart rate. Now we're going to have zones once we figure out your max heart rate. So if you look over at this chart, let's for example say I'm 30 years old and my max heart rate is going to be 187. So I got that basically putting 0.7 times my age, so 0.7 times 30, so 208 minus that number will give me 187. So once we have that 187, now we can figure out what our target heart rate needs to be. That is usually going to be between 55% and 85% of our max heart rate. So to figure out the 55%, it's going to be your max heart rate multiply 0.55, we equal the lower end of the threshold zone, and max heart rate multiplied 0.85 will be the higher end of that threshold. So again, back to my example, 30 years old, max heart rate 187. My target heart rate is going to be 103 to 168. Now this does not work for everybody. If you are on drugs that slow your heart rate, you should not use this method because it's going to end up giving you numbers that are not going to fall into where you should be. Contact your doctor and ask them where you should be in this zone, in the zones. All right, now rate of perceived exertion. This one's a little bit easier because it doesn't require any math. So measure exercise intensity. So it takes into account how you are feeling. You get to decide what level you are at. So a number one would be little to no work or light walking, which would be about 40 to 55% of your heart rate. So that would be I'm sitting in a chair, I'm talking, I'm not working very hard, it's easy to do and I could do it all day long. A 10 would be I cannot work any harder. An example I always tell people is you're sprinting as hard as you possibly can. You want to be done, you don't want to do it. You can't talk because you're working so hard and you're breathing so hard. That would be what a 10 is. Now when you're working out, usually I want you in between that 7 to 8 level. I don't want you to stay there the whole time. You need to go up and down. So your heart rate should look like hills, going up and down, up and down. You never want to stay at that peak for a really long time. All right, the last one is going to be the talk test. Again, this one is not too difficult to do. So it accounts for individuals' ability to talk and exercise at the same time. So basically, if you can say a full sentence without taking any extra breaths in between your words, you're not working too hard. Now, if you start to take extra breaths in between some of your words, so for example, this is kind of hard, but I'm still able to do it. That is probably where you're going to be at an intensity level that is getting to be about maybe 60% to 70% of your max heart rate, or on that scale of perceived exertion, maybe about a 6 to 8 level. So this is going to be maybe for beginners to try to gauge where they are at and how hard they should be working. So any of these three methods are great. If you don't have a heart rate monitor, it might be a little bit hard to do the heart rate one, but otherwise the rate of perceived exertion and talk test are excellent methods to do as well.